nobody is doing what we're doing here.
For decades, Impro theater has been creating completely improvised plays in the styles of the world's most famous playwrights, authors, and genres. We've taught hundreds of students their craft of narrative improvisation and have shared the stage with so many other talented performers. Now, we need your help to keep that stage alive and to discover what comes next.
It's like they're Cirque du Soleil or something.
You can't help yourself. You have to laugh.
I just remember I was just having a blast for an hour.
Improv isn't just about performance and storytelling. It's about engagement and connecting with each other, being a better listener, being a better partner, and building on the ideas of those around you.
The Impro journey started a friend of mine saying, hey, you're into improv. There's going to be a Twilight Zone improvised. Right after that was done, we said, hey, we got to sign up for this.
Impro theater is committed to growing into a more diverse organization, to become a better version of ourselves, to be a place that creates community through art.
It's just getting started with regards to what it can be.
We want to expand our faculty and build a more inclusive school, and to reach out for new collaborations both here in the LA theater community and with artists around the world.
It's exciting to see that we're trying to be active in getting people from different walks of life.
With your tax-deductible donation, you will help support artists, writers, directors, storytellers, and more. We hope you'll help fund the future of this joyful, unique art form and support Impro theater and its school and the next generation of narrative improvisers. Every relationship is a story, and we look forward to our story with you.
Impro Theater and the cast and crew of this online performance would like to take this time to honor the indigenous peoples of the ancestral and unceded homelands we each inhabit, and to consider the legacy of colonization and its far-reaching effects.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the Impro Community Jam. Welcome back. It's been a while, but it's good to see you. My name's Tatiana Godfrey. I'm going to be your host tonight. She, her, hers. I'm a Black woman with a salmon-colored shirt and an afro mohawk and rectangular black Prada glasses against the cream-colored wall, and there's a bookcase against the wall as well.
Hi there, I'm Norm Cook. I'm he, him, and I am an old white guy with gray hair and wire glasses. And in honor of today is World UFO Day, I'm wearing my astronomy shirt and being attacked by a UFO over the city.
Hey, I'm Ian Carroll. I am he, his, him. They will also do just fine. And I am in my mid-30s, wearing a dark red shirt. I've got a Roman painted background behind me. And in order to try to differentiate myself against the mass of white guys who look exactly like me, I've made my hair long and blonde. So, that's that.
Hi, my name's Mike, he, him, his. I am a Caucasian male with brown hair. On a scale of attractiveness from 1 to 10, I would be a 12. And my background is my messy apartment's got a TV and an assortment of sci-fi collectibles because of that attractiveness I mentioned before.
And I am Matt Gaffney, he, him, and or his. And what do I have? I'm wearing, I'm a middle-aged white dude that usually looks younger than I am, which works both ways, pros and cons. I'm wearing blue blocker glasses that have slight magnification so I can sit in front of my screen and try not to fry my eyes and also be able to see things well. I have a backdrop of a Shakespearean castle from Shakespearean Improv. And I think that's it for me.
Hi, I'm Amy, she, her, hers, and I'm Caucasian female. I'm not sure how old I look. I know I am late 40s, and I have I'm a brunette mostly, not too many grays, and a navy navy shirt with white polka dots on it, layered over a white tank top, and I'm rocking the warm red lipstick.
Hi, some people know me as Doc. Some people know me as Faryl. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a white woman of Jewish heritage, so kind of that brand of white. And my hair is salt and pepper, very long and wavy. I'm wearing a red and blue striped Old Navy t-shirt. And my backdrop is kind of a Romanesque era limestone wall. And I'm also wearing glasses that slightly shade my eyes because they've got a little bit of light blocking in them. So there's my brown eyes. There you go.
Yes, thank you for introducing yourselves. It's good to see all of you with us today, and y'all can disappear. And we're gonna launch into our first game. So we'll be seeing some of these players soon. Our first game is called Ipso Facto. And if you could put into the chat for me, so qualifier for the entire night, we're gonna need a lot of suggestions. And that's your job, to enter into the chat suggestions. So if you could enter into the chat for me, a grand theme of a life. Por ejemplo, which is Spanish for example, hope, or revenge, a grand theme of life. And while you're doing that, I'll explain this game. Well, I'm going to call one group of actors to the screen. It's a group of 3 players, and they're going to perform a scene in gibberish based on the suggestion that you are going to enter into the chat now. Then the second group of actors, of 3 actors, are going to translate that scene into English for you. They're going to perform the exact same scene, but in English. And then we're going to do the vice versa. Group 2 will perform a scene in gibberish, and group 1 will translate it for you. And I'll get another suggestion for that. So if I can get our first group, Ian, Amy, and Norm, to the screen for our first gibberish scene. And I'm going to go to our chat moderator, Jennifer. Jennifer, do you have a good grand theme of life for this scene?
Yes, how about brotherhood?
Oh, I love it. That's so amazing. Uplifting and affirming brotherhood. All right, your suggestion is brotherhood. Let's see a scene in gibberish at your leisure.
Ah, West Sapafusha, Nibisha.
Nabigoho, Nahoho.
Nibis, Nifaba, Nish Java.
Noble. Noble.
La Beluga.
Nibis, Maria.
Na, Nobiga. Nobiga.
Porto.
Nibis, Nifon, Westapa, Nishtopa.
Scolto. Yes, sir.
Mario.
It's just for soup.
Oh.
Scolto.
And scene. Yes, I loved it. Such pathos. Okay, I had dying to know what that was about. Let's get Doc, Mike, and Matt to the screen to translate that for us. Okay, whenever y'all ready.
Diane, I'm in love with you, and I'm stealing you from Jeffrey.
What? You're in love with me? But Jeffrey's been dead for 10 years.
He haunts me this way.
I must find him so I can finally release my love from his soul.
If I do mean that much to you, please do.
Wait a minute. I hear you speaking of Jeffrey?
Jeffrey, you've returned from the grave.
I hope this is a breakthrough moment for our relationship.
We've just learned that ghosts are real, and you're still concerned with this?
Don't fear death.
This is everything I've ever wanted. I can finally obtain closure.
Diana, please tell me this. I am a part of your plan.
Hey, Carl, this really just isn't gonna work. I got some stuff to figure out.
Jeffrey, please impart some wisdom.
Jeffrey.
Goodbye, Jeffrey. I'll always love you and your very oddly shaped skull.
And scene. Okay, yes, that makes so much sense now. Yes. Where you going? Come back. It's a group that just left, come back. I loved you so much that I want to see you do another scene. But I want it to be in gibberish this time. I'm gonna go to our chat moderator. Jennifer, do you have another grand theme of life that this gibberish scene could be about?
Yes, how about evolution?
Evolution. Okay, a gibberish scene about evolution. Whenever y'all ready.
Zibba zabba, zibba 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 zoo, zada doo, dada zibby, zabba zooba zoo. Zibbity zah, zibbity
Hozaba, Bebop, Dabba Dabba.
Zibby zabba!
Dabba, Da, Honcha, Honcha.
Oh,
Whew, shubu, shubu, shubu.
Hidopodnenie da to Honcha.
Zab ZZ? What is that, zoo?
Hidopatuda, Edoba, Edoba Honcha.
Z? Yep, zip, Z?
Shoo. Ba ba ba.
Scene. Okay. Yes. I had a lot of understanding there. All right. So let's get our first group up. Ian, Amy, and Norm. I need to know what that scene was about. So please tell me at your leisure.
Careful now.
This tree of life is so high. How can we climb it?
You climb it well. Just keep climbing it.
The blisters on my hands hurt too much.
Ah, blisters, blisters.
I'm slipping.
Oh, Deborah! Deborah! Grab hold! Grab hold!
You don't care about us.
Come on, Deborah, grab hold! Ah!
I'm slipping.
No!
I'm going back to the fishes. Help
Hold
me.
on. We're on solid ground now.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You can't just use your hands when you're climbing the tree of life.
And scene. And scene. That was amazing. And I feel like really, y'all had me cracking up. But I feel like you can't just use your hands when climbing the tree of life. That's deep. That's really deep. Thank you so much for translating that for me. And that was the game of ipso facto. Ipso facto. I don't know why they call it that, but it's like tit for tat, ipso facto. I'm not sure what that means in the Latin, I'm guessing. Let's jump into this next game and leave my understanding of archaic languages aside. This next game is called Advice Panel. And from you into the chat, if you could enter come see, which is French for like this. If you could enter come see, some sort of question about something you need advice about. Maybe some sort of romantic advice, maybe some sort of financial advice. What questions do you have that you need advice about in your life? And while you're doing that, and we need a lot of them, so if you're a person who has a lot of problems in your life, now's the time, capitalize on this opportunity. And while you're doing that, I'm going to invite an expert advice panel to the screen. This is Ian, Amy, and Mike. Can I get these actors? they're going to be playing an expert advice panel. I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves. Let's start with this person in the red shirt, this dark red.
Hello, my name is Marshall Reed. I'm a professional voice professional.
Awesome. Nice to meet you, Marshall. Thank you so much. Marshall Reed, very professional. What about this person against the brick background?
Hi, yes. I'm Tanya Spooner, and I'm a prominent influencer, and I'm just really excited to be here.
We're really excited to have you. Thank you so much. And then let's have our final guest here.
My name's Bruce. I travel from town to town, righting wrongs, hopefully solving the murder of myself.
You just blew my mind, Bruce. I'm so glad that you could take some time out of your busy schedule to be here with us on this advice panel. I'm sure that a lot of people out there need advice, but I'm actually going to be selfish. I'm going to prioritize myself for once, self-reflection, and ask a question as pertains to me. My question is, I'm looking for a new job. And what is the best way to find work out there? I'm a theater artist, so take that as you will. I'm gonna start with Miss Spooner, Tanya Spooner.
Yes. Oh my God. Well, first of all, whenever I'm looking to go in a new direction, I always ask my followers first and make sure I get their input. So I set up a nice little poll and ask everyone to like and subscribe, and I'll listen to what you say.
That's great. I have some followers, and that's actually not bad advice. Thank you so much. I'm so glad I asked you. What about Bruce?
The first thing I would do is I would find a young child in need, find what the problem she is trying to solve is, and connect that to a corrupt theater businessman in town. You take him out, soon there's a vacuum and a job that needs to be replaced, and you can do that.
See a need, fill a need. That's really smart. I'm gonna go over to Marshall Reed.
Yes, of course, when you're trying to get work as a professional, the first thing you need to do is remember that even though you're only going to be heard and not seen, that still doesn't mean you don't have to be handsome. You do. And on top of that, it really helps if you're the son of the producer.
Hey, change my parentage. That makes so much sense. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, I'm gonna go to our chat moderator. Are there people who are watching who need advice? What do they want to know?
They have a lot of questions, and let's start with what is the best way to get an ex-friend to stop calling you?
Oh, what is the best way to get an ex-friend to stop calling you? I'm sure Bruce has some good information about this.
Oh, well, I'll have you know, when the media frames you for the murder of your wife and then says that you're dead, people stop calling you.
Oh, that's great advice. What about Marshall Reed?
Well, I would say the first thing that you should do is tell your ex-friend, "Hey, ex-friend, you should stop calling me right now. And you should put that on your voice machine."
Great. I'll just re-record my voice message. Tanya Spooner.
Hi. First of all, I have a question. I'm not familiar with what this calling thing is. Is that like a DM?
Yes.
I don't understand. I'm
Sure.
sorry.
So in the late 1800s, a feller named Alexander Graham Bell invented a thing called a telephone, and it used wires to connect a person talking. It receives audio output, and then somebody far away can hear the things that you were saying.
Oh, right. Like when I use WhatsApp and Skype, and I get it.
Wait, that makes so much sense. Thank you so much. I'm gonna go back to our chat moderator. Do you have another person who needs advice?
Yes, we do. We have someone who needs advice on how do you tell someone that they smell bad.
Oh, well, Marshall Reed definitely has something to say about this.
Well, when you're experiencing itchy, flaky dryness in your skin, there is nothing quite like having Malto-Reed, which is the new deodorant by the Megacorp. Malto-Reed will give you many things. One of them is a nice, fresh scent that will travel with you wherever you go.
Thank you, Miss Spooner.
Oh, yes. Some people just don't have pleasant odors about them. And for that reason, I like to give them a case of Axe body spray and ask them to use it all at once. The whole case.
Wow, that sounds like it might be bad for the environment. Bruce,
Oh.
what do you think about that?
Whenever I whenever I smell someone who has an odor that offends me, I tell them, "You smell like justice."
Wow. I'm gonna use that line the next time I smell somebody bad. Thank you. That's great advice. Let's get another question from our loyal audience.
Yes, we have an audience member who wants to know how to get a dove to fly onto her arm.
How do you get a dove to fly onto your arm? Tanya Spooner.
Oh, my goodness. The first step in getting a dove, or any woodland creature to land on your arm for that matter, is to just channel your inner Disney princess. Because by the laws of attraction, you'll just gain all the creatures and their trust.
Thank you. Yes, I'm gonna do that right now. Bruce.
I once had a dove land on my arm, but it turns out that it was the spirit of my deceased father trying to lead me in the right direction to find the man who was trying to kill me. It turned out that that man was my father.
Whoa, that's a great story. Marshall Reed.
When you're trying to get a dove to get onto your arm, the best way is to follow the advice of the squirrels. You see, squirrels love Flamin' Hot Cheetos. Flamin' Hot Cheetos are delicious, especially to squirrel taste buds. And squirrel taste buds, as you know, are not a far evolutionary step away from doves. So use Flamin' Hot Cheetos on your arms and get covered in doves.
Thank you so much for this advice panel. You've answered all of these questions so wonderfully. Thank you so much for your time today, and thank you all in the audience for asking your questions. I hope that you got some good answers. We'll see you next time. Bye, advice panel.
Not if I see you first.
Bye. I'll never forget you. Whoa, that was some really great advice. I'm glad I asked my question first. Okay, so we're gonna play another game. We're gonna launch into another game. It's called Newscaster. And for this, if you could put into the chat something that is in no way a tragedy, something that is in no way, shape, or form a tragedy. And then I'll explain how this is going to work. We're going to enter with some breaking news. We've yet to hear what it is. That's how breaking it is. And we'll go live on the scene to our anchor, who will bring us to the latest information on whatever our breaking news is. Chat moderator Jennifer, is there some breaking news?
We don't have immediate breaking news, but we do know that Mr. Johnson has mowed his lawn.
Mr. Johnson mowed his lawn. Well, I'm gonna cut to our anchor who has more information about Mr. Johnson mowing his lawn. Anchor, it's up.
Da, 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 da.
You tell them I'll turn the cameras on when I'm good, well, and ready.
Jim, we're on. Jim, we're on.
Will you tell them that I'm not on yet?
Jim, you're on the air.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jim Bottle Pocket with the evening news breaking. Our top stories tonight. Fires! Boring. COVID-19. I'm tired of that story already. What's this? Woman caught in tree, cut down by man, loses limb. Just terrible. Who's writing this stuff anyways?
Okay. Jim, that's news.
We've got a story. We're gonna send it out live to Brebe, who's covering a new Olympic sport being added. We're going live to Tokyo. Brebe, take it from here.
I went undercover at the Olympics. I was hoping they wouldn't notice me. I just kind of blend into the crowd, see? They've got this new sport at the Olympics, mowing lawns, see? And they sent this ringer, this guy who's supposed to know all the ins and outs of the grass and the blades, this Johnson guy. I was hoping to get close to him, but haven't found him yet. I guess I have to just hang around and in 1953 a little bit longer, maybe he'll turn up. Back to you in the studio.
It's a warm afternoon in the studio. The air conditioner had gone out for a few minutes. I was sweating under my jacket and my makeup. Person having to come in every 2 minutes. Brebe just cracked a story that had me all hot and bothered. I was confused. So what do I always do? I send it to weather. Our weatherman is the best in the business, and he's in a storm unlike we've ever seen, and we're gonna send it to him.
Well, thanks, Jim. This is Stormy Weathers with the weather. And you can tell it's stormy out there because I got my hat on. Yes, I don't get wet with this hat. Unlike Mr. Johnson, who mowed his lawn in the rain. Can you believe that? I can't believe that. Well, you know what happened to Mr. Johnson because he stood out there mowing his lawn in the rain? He got hit by lightning. That's what happened. And now he can recite pi to 432 decimal places. Believe it or not. Stormy Weathers, back to you, Jim.
He deserved to die, that one. He deserved to die. What an idiot out there mowing his lawn in the lightning. Thank you, Stormy. Hey, if you guys aren't going to write anything for me, I'm going to have to go off script here, okay? Because I got a personal story here, and Bray's going to bring it to you. That's right. Mr. Producer, hang on to your hats, because we're about to break the viewership record right now. Bray, go ahead and tell him your personal story. She didn't say anything because she didn't have to. was all in her body language. It's an economy of words, unbeknownst to mankind. We're going to send one last shout out to Stormy, who's apparently got himself into some sort of a weather pickle. Hasn't been seen on this side of the Tropic of Cancer since 1913. Off to you, Stormy.
Well, Jim, that's right. This weather phenomenon hasn't been seen since I was 4 years old. How old that makes me? Old as the hills. That's right. You can see behind me. Look at those clouds. Look at those clouds. It's too.
Bang bang, lightning crash.
Oh my God, my baby! It's the end of the world. It's the end of the world. Mr. Johnson was only the first victim. Now everyone will be able to do calculus in their heads.
3.141593642192310.
Oh, the humanity. The humanity.
And scene. Yeah. This is me applauding. I was about that. Oh, the humanity. I'm not going to tell you the name of this next game, but I am going to ask you for our get. How about a noun that starts with the letter W? A noun that starts with the letter W. And while you're doing that, I'll tell you a story. I was with this group of people, actually, this group of improvisers, like these specific people, on a safari in Kenya. And it was like really respectful, we just wanted to like see the animals, but we weren't really interacting. And we witnessed the birth of an elephant calf. And it was one of the most magical moments in our lives, and like witnessing a birth like that was something that really united us as a group. And we every year this group returns to Kenya to commemorate the event and to visit that elephant calf, who is now full grown and quite terrifying in the enormosity of its size. But we celebrate its life, and we hope that it lives and prospers. Okay, Jennifer, do we have some sort of suggestion?
Yes, we do. Waterfall.
Waterfall, noun that starts with a W. Waterfall. I have some sad news to report, everybody. A titan has fallen. Waterfall man was lost in the Niagara, and we fear that he is gone. We're going to live footage from Waterfall Man's funeral. We'll cut it over to them.
Good evening. I am Natasha Tannenkoff, and I was the provider of filters for Waterfall Man. I help purify his soul day in, day out through the wonders of bourbon. Waterfall Man was such a powerful titan. I'm sorry. I promised myself I wouldn't cry like this in front of everyone. I'm just sorry. I'm gonna go. Need to go.
Waterfall Man. Waterfall Man was my arch nemesis. I, Fire Upbringer, had fought Waterfall Man over many continents. We had always battled, created such steam together. And now, that steam will never come again. People say that I had something to do with it, but I tell you, Waterfall Man was a true hero. And only a true hero could bring a villain like me to life. Ah.
Well, hey, I'm Barrel Boy. I was Waterfall Man's sidekick, and I would go over Waterfall Man in my barrel, and now I won't get to go over his water anymore. What am I going to do? Can't go on without a waterfall. What am I going to do with this barrel body of mine? I'm a hopeless outcast of society without Waterfall Man. Oh, I can't even talk. I am so distraught. Oh, goodbye, Waterfall Man.
I'd like to just say a few words. Me and Waterfall Man, we go way back, but let me tell you, getting in his inner circle wasn't easy at the beginning, see, because while I was the king, I did not have supernatural powers, and getting into Waterfall's fortress was a thing of difficulty. Let me tell you, I did it with a song. I'm going to sing it to you now. Mr. Waterfall Man, oh, Mr. Waterfall Man, well, you can take your water down to the dam, Mr. Waterfall Man. It was that song I sang outside of Waterfall's Fortress that got me in, and ever since then, we've done all kinds of water activities together, and may Waterfall Man rest in peace.
Hi, my name is Skip. I'm with the advanced crew for Waterfall Man. We were scouting a new location, new and different kinds of waterfalls. I've been out on this beach for about 2.8 months. Has anybody heard from Waterfall Man? Because he was supposed to be sending us some supplies, like some K rations or C rations or kennel ration or something. We're getting awful tired of coconuts and bananas here on this tropical island. There's lots of good waterfalls. If anybody sees Waterfall Man, maybe have him give Skip a little ring. Thank you. Roger and out.
You all know me. I'm the Nightmare. I was another member of the Fortitude Force with Waterfall Man. But what people didn't know about the two of us was that we were also romantically inclined. All the other members, they told me, don't go chasing Waterfall Mans. But I just couldn't deny myself. You know what they say? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Yeah.
Waterfall Man will be missed. That was the game of Superhero Eulogy. I will name that game now. And if Mike Galusa could just come to the screen and then just like issue us an apology for referencing Waterfalls, the song, in that way, and also all of the puns that appeared in that game that just like caused me bodily harm. I feel like that.
I apologize for nothing. It's punliness is next to godliness. So yeah.
Wow. Just for that, I'm gonna make you play Dime Store Novel. What? So
I just happen to have this book I was writing, so that's perfect.
Oh, well, darn, that actually worked out nicely for you. You're gonna be playing that with Ian and Matt. Why don't you go talk to them off screen? Don't actually do that, but it's like a gimmick. And I'll get our from the audience. If you could put into the chat for us, come see the title of a novel that does not exist. The title of a novel that does not exist, and I'll explain to you what will be happening here. Mike will be narrating a novel that he's writing, apparently, that you're going to be giving us the title of. And as he is narrating it, it'll be coming to life in front of you by the other actors in this scene. Dime Store Novel. Jennifer, do we have some sort of title of a novel that does not exist?
I didn't do a check to see if it exists, but there is Tales of Tabby.
Tales of Tabby. Tales of Tabby. So, Mike, I'll leave that to you, and can't wait to hear excerpts from this new novel.
Tales of Tabby, Chapter 1. Today was a very important day in Tabby's life. She had realized that for now, and possibly forever, she was truly on her own. This was scary for her. She hadn't had to build self-sufficiency up. Her parents had always been there for her. But ever since they disowned her for becoming a freakish puppet, she had now found that she would need to rely on herself. But fear not, because there was a community of puppets who were happy to assist in any way that they knew how. One was named Gerald, and he greeted her with a nice gesture. Gerald was a mute, so he was not able to speak. So it looked like Tabby would need to unmute her mic so she could speak for him.
Oh, what am I to do? I could not speak for a long time. Oh, I will name you Gerald, because that's what you look like.
Suddenly, Gerald, hearing his name, learned the ability to speak and decided to say,
I would like to move in to your cool flat.
This was a revelation for Tabby, because Tabby was so desperately alone. And
I'm so desperately alone.
Fear no more, Tabby, for I do not like to leave the house, and I will be here and stay here for a long time.
You really mean that?
Tabby thought that a roommate would be great, but suddenly realized that Gerald was very, very clingy, and Tabby was going to need to set some boundaries.
Oh.
Tabby, please keep holding my hand. Why are you withdrawing your hand?
Gerald, sometimes I need to have my own hand back so that I can walk downstairs.
But your loneliness was aplenty.
Well, yeah, it is, but I also need some alone time. I can't just be always around you.
You have tricked me into a web of lies and turned my heart inside out.
Tricked you! Oh!
And scene. Yes, that's exactly what I expected from that novel. This is so like logistically, if you're watching, this is like odd for me because really I'm performing this into a vacuum. I'm not logged into Twitch at all. And can't see reactions, but I'm imagining that you're laughing as raucously as I was because that was hilarious. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. We're gonna launch into our next game, just called New Choice. And if you could put into the chat for us, come see a non-geographic location like a bank or a park, a non-geographic location. While you're doing that, I'll explain how this game works. It's a new choice. We'll have our next group up, which is Amy, Doc, and Norm, and they'll perform a scene for you. Yes, ask and you shall receive. They'll perform a scene for you very expertly, I assure you. And at any time, if I don't like something that comes out their mouth, I'll say their name and then I'll say new choice. And then they have to say something that's completely different. And then the scene will continue until I do it again. And then I'll stop them when I'm tired of seeing them. Jennifer, do we have some sort of suggestion?
Yes, we do. A massage parlor.
Massage parlor. That's a non-geographic location. I love it. All right, I'm gonna go off camera, but you'll be able to hear me yell new choice whenever you're ready.
Oh, that feels so good.
Oh gosh, Mr. Jones, you are so tight up. You must be some kind of big business executive because your back is so full of knots.
Barbara, don't be so stingy here. Share the knots with me too. I gotta get my hands on them.
Oh,
new choice.
Fine, Trixie.
Amy, new choice.
Barbara, you're always taking the good clients. You're not leaving any for me.
Now, Trixie, it was just the luck of the draw. You know, we were at the end of the alphabet, the T's, when Mr. Jones walked in. I didn't in any way conspire to take him from you.
I don't care who takes me. Just take me and get rid of those knots. Oh.
Norm, new choice.
Get rid of those silver dollars.
Norm, new choice.
Get rid of those feral cats.
Norm, new choice.
Get rid of those magical juggling balls.
Oh, I know how to handle magic juggling balls.
I'm all right with normal juggling balls, but the magical ones perplex me.
Doc, new choice.
I'm all right with feral cats, which our neighborhood is lousy with, but sometimes I think that they're going to want to play with juggling balls.
Doc, new choice.
You know, silver dollars are what I like to pay my rent with, but juggling balls make me feel fine.
Can I pay you with silver dollars? I don't have any other money. You're so good. I want to pay you so much money.
Well, I'll collect your silver dollars while I walk upon your lumbar spine.
Doc, new motion.
Well, I'll take your silver dollars while I hop upon your thigh bones, very low, close to the knees.
Doc, new motion.
Well, I'll take your silver dollars while I punch your femurs until they let go of the tension, because bones are often so tense, you know.
Barbara, you nearly forgot the relaxing aromatherapy oils. Here's the sage and the lavender.
New scent, Amy, new scent.
Nearly forgot the relaxing aromatherapy oils. Here's the pizza and the taco.
New scent.
You nearly forgot the aromatherapy oils. Here's the wet dog, and here's the freshly mown grass.
You know, Mr. Johnson was in here earlier. He brought us that freshly mown grass that he created himself.
I love the smell of napalm on grass. Do you have something like that?
And scene. Yes. That's the game of new choice. Thank you so much for playing. That was hilarious. That was I loved coming in and yelling new choice. That involvement really tickled me. So thank you for indulging me. I think let's do a game where everybody plays. Let's get everybody to the screen. This game, we're going to need a lot of suggestions for. So if you could enter some things into the chat for us, perhaps a profession, or a type of bird, or maybe an office supply. Some things. If you can type a whole bunch of things into the chat for us, we're going to play the game of Smackdown. The way that Smackdown works is that we'll get two of the things that you entered, and they're going to come up with funny jokes based on those two things. It's the standard joke-telling format of I saw a fight between a blank and a blank. Y'all are going to put the blanks into the chat for us now. And then I'll be like, who won? And then they'll say something funny, some sort of punchline, funny pun or something or other. Poor
Unless
Hemplo.
Tati's gonna yell at me for it.
Sheesh.
Poor Hemplo, just Spanish for example. It'll be like, I saw a fight between a doctor and a banana. Who won? The banana. The doctor didn't have a shot. Ew, I'm imagining you laughing raucously at the wonder of that pun. But that's what we're going for. I think like the worse the better. Raise your hand, I'll call on you, and we'll be getting a few of these. So Jennifer, can we have do you have two things for us?
Yes. How about an accountant and an albino rabbit?
Okay. Accountant and albino rabbit. Raise your hand if you feel like you got one. Doc.
I saw a fight between an accountant and an albino rabbit.
Who won?
The rabbit. The accountant thought it was too taxing.
Ayo, that was miserable. Mike.
I saw a fight between an accountant and an albino rabbit.
Who won?
The albino rabbit, because he was late. He was late for a very important date, so he like fought real fast.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. Amy.
I saw a fight between an accountant and an albino rabbit.
Who won?
The accountant, because he audit, man.
Okay. Doc.
I saw a fight between an accountant and an albino rabbit.
Who won?
It was a tie, actually. They were both so good at multiplication.
Ooh, yes. Matt.
I saw a fight between an accountant and an albino rabbit.
Who won?
The accountant did, because I can't count on the rabbit.
Oh, yeah, you can't count on rabbits. They flighty. Mike?
Saw a fight between an accountant and a rabbit.
Who won?
The accountant, let's just say the odds were in their number.
Okay.
The number, it works up here.
Amy?
I saw a fight between an accountant and an albino rabbit.
Who won?
The accountant. At least that was my deduction.
Yes. All right, Jennifer, can I have 2 more things?
Yes, a stapler and a sausage maker.
A stapler and a sausage maker. Mike?
I saw a fight between a stapler and a sausage maker.
Who won?
The stapler, the sausage maker just couldn't keep things together.
Yes. I like that. Doc?
I saw a fight between a stapler and a sausage maker.
Who won?
The sausage maker, but trust me, you wouldn't want to know what went into it.
Ooh, you're right. I don't want to know. Norm?
Okay, I saw this fight between a stapler and a sausage maker.
Well, who won?
The stapler won because he knew how to swing line.
Matt?
So I saw this fight between a stapler and a sausage. What is it?
Maker.
Sausage maker.
Maker.
Who won?
I'm not sure, but it was a hell of a grind. Let me tell you.
Oh, yes. Amy?
I saw a fight between a stapler and a sausage maker.
Well, who won?
The stapler, because the sausage maker is the punchline for a world's worst.
Yeah. Mike?
I saw a fight between a stapler and a sausage maker.
Who won?
The stapler, because they got staples. Yeah, they got that.
Yes. I approve. I'm gonna move on. Norm, you're in the hot spot. I'm gonna ask for our next one, but I'm gonna go to you first for our joke. So watch out. Jennifer, do we have another one?
We do. A parrot and a mop.
A parrot and a mop. I'm gonna take a deep breath, maybe give Norm a moment. Okay, Norm?
All right, I saw this fight between a parrot and a mop.
Who won?
The parrot won. You know why?
Why?
Because the parrot talked back.
Hey, I'll accept that. That's pretty funny. Especially because you were in the hot seat there. Doc?
I saw a fight between a parrot and a mop.
Who won?
The mop, he cleaned up.
Hey, yes. That's how this game works. Matt?
Yeah, I saw this fight between a parrot and a mop.
Well, who won?
Well, the mop lost twice. He got beat, and then he had to mop up after.
Oh, that's the worst. Amy?
I saw a fight between a parrot and a mop.
Who won?
Well, the mop, because one parent can't win, but 2 can.
Oh, that hurts. That hurts my heart. Send medical help to Ohio. Matt?
Yeah, I saw a fight between a parrot and a mop.
Who won?
I don't know. I thought the fight was for the birds,
For the birds, for the birds. Ian?
I saw a fight between a parrot and a mop.
Who won?
Well, the parrot did. Apparently the mop was mopping up crackers, and Polly wanted her crackers.
Only one of those. Jennifer, do you have another one?
Yes, we do. Stamps and a yoga instructor.
Stamps and yoga instructor. Doc.
I saw a fight between Stamps and a yoga instructor.
Who won?
The Stamps. You can't lick them. Oh, wait, you can.
And that's the game of SmackDown. Thank you so much, everybody, for playing. This was, I certainly had a good time. I hope that if you were watching it, you had a good time. And I hope if you were playing it, you had a good time. Thanks for joining us for the Impro Jam. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Chris, our technical improviser. Thank you, Jennifer, our moderator. Thank you, Cass. Thank you, Tatiana, our host. Yay! Come back next week.
Bye. Bye. Whatever.